To my far left is Julie Howell. Now, a special mention to Julie because she's battled through a really bad cold to get here today. She really didn't want to let you guys down. She's really excited about coming here. She's been Director of Accessibility. Well, she is Director of Accessibility at Fortune Cookie at the moment. Prior to that, she was Digital Policy Development Manager at the RNIB, and many of you may have come across Julie before on talks around web accessibility. I know I've been to about 5 or 6 events where Julie's been speaking. It's always been a pleasure to hear her and see that she's been pushing that cause. Interestingly, the first time I met Julie, she won't remember this, but I was a little kind of interaction designer working for Yale.com, and we were doing this thing called the Yale Awards. I think it was 1999. And it was Julie won an award. What was? Okay, Mirror Readers Award for the best website, for a website which she's going to be talking about, which is kind of, she says it's her 4th hat, which is running this website called Julie's Joint, which is correct me if I'm wrong, but a community-based site around the subject of multiple sclerosis. Julie has been kind of has been a sufferer of a I shouldn't say sufferer, has had multiple sclerosis for many years, and had kind of set up the site for her own use and to kind of help others. And it's been fantastic to hear how that's grown. Probably one of the first kind of like health community sites there ever was, I guess. I don't know.
Thank you. I'm going to go over here. Try not to breathe on anybody. Okay, I've got some slides to accompany me. Good afternoon, everybody. It's always lovely to come and address. I always think it's a brand new audience, and I'm reminded it's not. Some people have seen me ad nauseum, so I'm very sorry about that. But this is a slightly different angle this time. My name is Julie Howell. I should mention, as I guess I'm here on their time, I work for Fortune Cookie, a digital design agency. Accessibility to disabled people is very important to us. And we designed the Search Medica website, that is the interface for that, that's a GP's search engine. I'm going to explain why I'm here today in a moment, but just to say also that I was a founder member of the Connecting for Health Care Record Development Board, and I've worked with the NHS for some years now, and I'm very, very excited about all the new initiatives that are happening as part of that programme. It was really, really interesting to hear the points made by Martyn and Pete, because I think I offer something different yet again, and I agree with both, and also looking at the film as well at the beginning, but there's something else going on, I think, that isn't sort of Web 2.0, and it's not social network either, really, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. As Jason has said, I've got the lurgy, so sorry about that. It wasn't deliberate. I should just say, if you find it necessary to touch me today, I do suggest you wash your hands immediately afterwards, and don't touch your eye, because hand to eye is how most infections get spread. So there's something for you for free. I run an online community. It's called Julie's Joint. It's, as Jason said, I set it up more than 12 years ago, when really the notion of online communities didn't really exist, and I didn't know what I was doing. And while I'm very impressed by my esteemed colleagues and everybody in the room, I'm the numpty really on the panel. Everything that I talk about is not based in any kind of well thought out research or anything like that. It's just kind of my intuition, but I hope it's still valuable all the same. If we can move on to the next slide. The website that I run, the online community, it's called Julie's Joint, and I call it my kind of eureka story. It's all about me, really. So in 1995, I was bored, and I suffer from terminal boredom. It's horrific. It'll be that gets me in the end, not MS. And I was diagnosed with MS when I was 19. I'm 36 now. And I'm just about getting to the point where I've had MS most of my life, I guess. And in 1995, it was the August bank holiday, and I was bored because I wasn't at work. And I was having a bath, and I was thinking, bored. And at that point, I had 0.5 megabyte, can you imagine, of web space, free with my ISP, which was BBC Networking Club. I know that's really pushing everybody's memory there. And in my first few days of being on the web, I'd found it really, really helpful to talk to other people with multiple sclerosis, because at that time, although I'd had MS for 5 years, I'd never met anybody else with MS, nor had I wished to, and certainly hadn't talked to anybody and shared ideas, but the web kind of made it feel a bit safe. So I wondered if there was something I could do with my very small amount of free web space to help other people like me. So I was in the bath where I do all of my my best thinking. I think because it keeps me still, I'm able to sort of concentrate on things. And I just wondered if there would be any kind of interest or mileage in some kind of online email pen pal thing for people with MS. Can we move on again? So to give you some of the stats on Julie's Joint, bearing in mind this is all quite accidental. I really was just bored. I didn't plan any of this, and thank goodness, because I think the prospect would have terrified me. I learnt web design from a magazine, as I'm sure most of us did. I do have some qualifications. My degree is in information management, so I'm all about humanities and people. I don't really care about computers at all, really. It's just what they can do for me, I guess. The question I'm often asked, do I get any sleep? How does one woman run an online community that now has 60,000 members and has been going strong for 12 years and is more popular today than it's ever been and hardly runs into any problems at all? Well, how indeed. So I got thinking about this a little bit, and I'd just like to share with you why I think it works. Can we move on again, please? Thank you. Okay, so what makes Julie's Joint work? Well, you know, it's not a social network. It's not even a democracy. It's called Julie's Joint for a reason, because I'm in charge. And the model I really think of that's most helpful is it's a bit like a pub, and I'm the landlady. So when you're on my premises, you'll obey my rules or you're out. But of course, people like coming there and they want to behave. And in fact, people kind of look after each other and look after the environment. So there's actually very, very little that I personally need to do to get people to behave in an appropriate way. If I were to turn to a social network model where I gave everybody free rein to do whatever they wanted with all the resources, it would kill it, I am quite sure. You have to bear in mind the context of what we're working with here. Actually, Martyn, would you mind passing me my water? Wash your hands afterwards and get it very dry. Cheers, thank you. What's slightly different about us at Julie's Joint is that we're a community of people with a long-term incurable condition. And that made me think, you know, I was very interested in some of the things that Martyn was saying, because I think that kind of marks us apart as something slightly different. And I've said here, I guess if I must give it a label, I suppose what Julie's Joint is a non-democratic, vertical online community. So we're all about one thing. Everybody who comes to Julie's Joint has got multiple sclerosis. If you don't have MS, don't come here. I don't want you here. You know, you might come here because you think, oh, it's interesting, I want to know more about MS. You know, good for you. Go to the MS Society website and do that, please. Julie's Joint is a place where people with MS can come and not be troubled by your well-meaning, well-intended questions. We need an escape, and that's what Julie's Joint provides. Talking about design, Julie's Joint is designed to be accessible to its audience. Excuse me. And Jason mentioned earlier that Julie's Joint has won a couple of awards, which is very nice, but every time that happens, I start panicking because I think it doesn't look as good as everybody else's website that I'm up against. And of course, I want to win. But what I've learned over the past 12 years is that the most important asset are the people that use Julie's Joint. And so I'm constantly in a process of listening to them about what they want. And what's clearly very important to users of Julie's Joint is a sense that they know me, that they have a personal relationship with me, even though clearly that isn't the case, but they feel a connection with me, and that the website does have this homemade feel, that it's not explicitly linked to the MS Society. I should add that I do work very closely with the MS Societies. They had to court me for a long time, but now we have a really good relationship whereby if I ever need any backup or support, or if I need to signpost anybody with MS to information that is accurate, and that's so important, I can point to any of the MS Societies. Something else that sets me apart and that is kind of nice is that I've never seek to monetize Julie's Joint. I've made a promise. it's on the ITV Walk of Promises, actually, it's engraved, that I will always do this for free. For me, it's a hobby. And I never try to be on trend with anything at all, really. I just listen to what people with MS want from Julie's Joint, because if I lose them and they don't come back, then we're finished, and that will be a shame. Julie's Joint, I think, is all about being aspirational, inspirational, be fabulous, and transcending the physical. It's all about context, really. For most people that come to Julie's Joint, of course, having MS is a pretty bad event in their lives. But when they come here, because it's quite positive and brightly coloured and they see real people, they're able to kind of put having MS in context. It's not the worst thing that can happen. There is life beyond MS, and that's what the website is all about. And I encourage people to be proud of what they achieve in the context of having MS. Some things which might be easy for people who don't have MS to do can be a lot harder, and we have a lot of painters, for example, who are completely like paraplegic but are able to paint using their feet, and all sorts of things that are amazing in the context of having MS. I've learnt that being media friendly is extremely important, and I take PR very seriously at Julie's Joint. I'm also director of PR at my company, Fortune Cookie. Just this past year, I helped, I don't know if you've seen Michael Moore's film, Sicko. I helped with the research for that. I just yesterday spoke to a journalist at Bloomberg. Earlier this year, I've been on Channel 5 News, Sky News, and also the 1 o'clock news on BBC One. And a few weeks ago, I was in the Sun newspaper. And all of that is really important, because that's my way of reaching out to more and more and more people with MS and bringing them into the community. Something that may be kind of surprising, but it is crucial to the success of Julie's Joint, is this concept that I've described as MS pride. Feeling proud of who you are, despite the fact that you've got a condition which isn't something that one would aspire to. As I say to people, you know, I'm not glad that I have MS, but I don't regret my life. My life is full of joy and so many amazing experiences, and I don't regret that. And I'm proud of what I've done, and I'm proud of what other people with MS have done who are part of our community. I've put up a quote there because I thought it was very poignant, and this is from a member of Julie's Joint who said, "When it came to light that what I had wasn't MS but something less serious, I felt really sad because I didn't want to leave here." I mean, how incredible is that? You know, people actually want to be part of something because they feel such a sense of belonging, and that really makes me think that we've reached a point of maturity with our community. Can we move on again? Just finally, this one. I mean, I feel very, very blessed. I have 60,000 reasons to get out of bed in the morning. MS kind of doesn't matter. I mean, it's a pain when I've got symptoms, but these amazing people that I'm able to work with through the community bring me so much joy. And as I always say, if I could only help one person with MS, it'd still be worth it. I'd still do it. Can we move on? Just to position myself in this debate then, what have we done to the doctor-patient relationship? Well, bear in mind what I said earlier, that all this was kind of accidental. I've been on a hell of a journey over the past 12 years, both with my own health, the health of others, supporting the MS Society, working with healthcare professionals, and I have learnt so much. A point I wanted to give you is that a lot of negative things have been written in the press about the danger of patients accessing health information over the web, and Martyn touched on that a bit. But in truth, our chance of living better, healthier, richer, more productive lives are better than ever because of the web. And something I think that's different when you have a long-term health condition where the doctors don't know the cause or the cure is one word is absolutely crucial, and that's partnership. When I walk through the door to see my GP knows precious little about MS. And why should he? When I see the neurologist, they're not necessarily a specialist in MS. There's many neurology conditions. And crucial to me living well with MS is an appreciation that I'm in a partnership. So I don't turn to my doctor for all of the advice and help and support, nor do I take it all upon myself. I feel very strongly that people with MS need to be directed to good quality information that doesn't put us at risk. And there is a journal within the MS world which republishes every single piece of information about MS that appears in the press with absolutely no qualification about the credibility, and that troubles me greatly, because you're dealing here with people who are desperately, desperately ill and are desperate for a cure and will spend money. And I consider it a huge responsibility to make sure that I behave very responsibly with the information that I give out. Something that shouldn't be forgotten, hence I've written it here, is before the web, there was no community at all for people with MS. There's 85,000 of us with MS in the UK, and until about 15 years ago, none of us knew each other at all. You could live next door to somebody with MS and just not know it, because the symptoms are so different, and you can't identify a person with MS by looking at them. But now we have the internet, suddenly we have power. The power shift has occurred between ourselves and our healthcare professionals. It used to be you would go and see your neurologists, and I would get quite frightened about doing that because all the power was with him. And my neurologist, once I said I'm depressed, he said, I'm sorry, I don't deal with things above the neck. And oh, come back when you can't walk anymore. These things really, really happen. So what happens when you've got a condition that can't be cured? This is changing, because now patients are going to their doctors empowered with information that they've got from reliable sources over the web. People with MS have a responsibility to acknowledge that we're experts in our own health and our own well-being. And also, of course, bad doctors now have nowhere to hide. Can we move on again? Finally then, my 5 minutes aren't like everybody else's. The information revolution has led to a health revolution. I now meet people with MS, and this is always amazing to me. You know, in the first 5 years of my MS, I knew nobody else. Now I have people coming to Julie's Joint to send me emails and say, I was diagnosed this morning, how do I get involved? It's a very interesting journey people go on at Julie's Joint. Most of the time they come confused, upset, angry, all of these very natural emotions when you've just been told your entire life has been stopped in its tracks. The last thing anybody who comes to Julie's Joint wants to do is be with other people with MS. And that's largely because of this idea that if you've got a disability or condition, you naturally want to be in a room with others who do. And of course we don't, it's depressing. However, after spending some time around the Julie's Joint community, usually within a couple of weeks, the new people are absolutely engaged, stuck in, and are saying, when is the next party? And I regularly throw parties paid for by the MS Society for 200 or so people with MS, and we have a really fabulous time. And then, over the course of the next few years, people with MS start putting their condition in context and come and go from the community. And that's absolutely how it should be. MS isn't everything we're all about. So I believe that as a result of the web, people with MS are better informed and able to make better choices that are good for them, their families, and society at large, and it's all good. Thank you.